Welcome to our presentation on corporate governance, where we explore how trust, leadership, and sustainable practices create long-term value for organizations and stakeholders. In this opening section, we'll set the stage, outlining why ethical decision-making, stakeholder confidence, and clear governance frameworks matter in today's complex business environment. Chapter 1 explains why corporate governance matters now more than ever, framing governance as the backbone of business integrity. We'll look at the real costs of lapses, how governance supports valuation and capital efficiency, and why leaders should view strong governance as a strategic priority rather than just a regulatory checkbox. When the stakes are high, failures are expensive and disruptive. Historic collapses like Enron wiped out billions. Recent global scandals number in the dozens, and incidents such as missing funds at Wirecard show how weak oversight destroys trust. These examples underline that robust governance protects investors, jobs, and market stability over the long term. Corporate governance is far more than compliance. It's the foundation of ethical leadership and sound decision-making across the organization. Good governance builds investor confidence, ensures regulatory alignment, protects reputation, and directly supports long-term stability and sustainable growth, turning rules into a culture of responsible behavior and accountability. Real-world wake-up calls show how governance breakdowns unfold and what they teach us. The Enron collapse and the Wirecard fraud exposed audit and board failures, while the key lesson is simple. Transparency and accountability are non-negotiable if a company wants to survive and thrive in the long run. When governance fails, the cost spreads beyond balance sheets to real people and communities. Shareholders lose value, employees lose jobs, suppliers and local economies suffer, and public trust erodes. The image on this slide underscores the human and societal toll that follows inadequate oversight and ethical lapses. Chapter 2 introduces the core pillars that support effective governance and guide practical implementation. In the next section, we'll walk through the essential elements. Organizations must get right to create resilient governance structures that align interests and deliver sustainable outcomes. Our four pillars framework organizes governance around four interdependent areas: protecting shareholders' rights, ensuring effective board responsibilities, maintaining disclosure and transparency, and engaging broader stakeholders. Together, these pillars create a balanced system that supports accountability, informed decision-making, and long-term value creation. Shareholders are the company's owners and must be able to exercise voting power, access timely and accurate information, and receive fair treatment. Ensuring these basic rights enables informed investment choices, deters insider dealing, and preserves equitable outcomes across different ownership classes for a healthier corporate ecosystem. The board of directors acts as the company's guardian, providing strategic oversight, approving major decisions, and managing risk. Effective boards balance competing stakeholder interests, maintain fiduciary duties, and embed ethical standards, ensuring leadership decisions align with long-term shareholder and societal expectations. Transparency and disclosure give stakeholders clear visibility into a company's performance and risks. Regular financial reporting, growing ESG disclosures, and consistent public communication reduce information asymmetry, build trust with investors, and ultimately lower capital costs by demonstrating accountability and openness. Effective governance respects stakeholders beyond shareholders, including employees, customers, suppliers, communities, and society at large. Fair labor practices, ethical sourcing, environmental responsibility, and community engagement align business success with social impact, creating broader trust and sustainable operational resilience. Chapter 3 focuses on governance structures and the roles that make oversight effective, from the boardroom to the executive suite. We'll explore composition, independence, and the governance mechanisms that help organizations translate principles into consistent day-to-day practices. Board composition and independence matter because objective oversight reduces conflicts of interest and improves decision quality. Diverse experience and perspectives mitigate groupthink, and evolving regulations, like recent rules encouraging diverse boards, reflect the growing recognition that inclusion drives stronger governance outcomes. Clear separation of CEO and chair roles and strong executive accountability are central to effective governance. Tying compensation to long-term performance and ethical conduct aligns incentives, and case examples such as respected governance models demonstrate how role clarity and transparent decision-making improve corporate resilience. Specialized committees strengthen board focus on complex topics. Audit committees safeguard financial integrity and oversee external auditors. Risk committees monitor enterprise-level threats, and remuneration committees align, pay with long-term performance, all helping the full board make better-informed strategic choices. Meaningful shareholder engagement practices create channels for accountability and influence. Annual general meetings, proxy voting mechanisms, and enhanced participation models give investors a voice on governance, strategy, and sustainability, while modern tools and higher transparency are increasing participation and impact across markets. Chapter 4 surveys global standards and best practices that shape governance expectations worldwide. We'll look at authoritative benchmarks and how international principles inform local reforms and corporate behavior, helping firms align with global norms while respecting regional differences. The OECD principles serve as a widely adopted benchmark for governance policy, covering legal frameworks, shareholder rights, board responsibilities, and disclosure standards. These principles drive reform by guiding regulators and markets toward frameworks that protect investors, promote market integrity, and support consistent governance fundamentals. ESG integration places environmental, social, and governance factors at the center of risk management and strategic decision-making. Investors increasingly demand transparent ESG reporting and effective governance of climate, labor, and ethical issues. And evidence suggests companies with strong ESG practices perform better on key metrics. Technology is reshaping how boards operate and manage risk. Digital transformation improves communication and decision tracking. Cybersecurity demands board-level oversight as threats escalate, and leading firms are establishing AI ethics boards to govern algorithm development and ensure responsible technology use. Chapter 5 turns to current challenges and emerging trends that test governance frameworks, from regulatory shifts to activist pressures and technology risks. Understanding these dynamics helps boards adapt and maintain strategic focus amid change. Striking the right balance between regulation and flexibility is essential. Excessive rules can stifle innovation, while voluntary codes can complement legal frameworks and enable industry-led best practices. And regional differences require nuanced approaches that balance universal principles with local context. Executive compensation controversies highlight the importance of transparency and alignment with performance. Excessive pay linked to poor governance undermines trust, while shareholder-led say-on-pay votes and recent reforms, mandating clearer disclosure, help restore accountability and align incentives with long-term value creation. Activist investors can be catalysts for governance change, pushing for board refreshment, strategic pivots, and operational improvements. While activism can unlock shareholder value, it can also introduce short-term pressures, so boards must weigh potential benefits against risks to long-term strategy execution. Cybersecurity and data privacy now sit squarely on the board agenda as regulatory scrutiny intensifies. Boards must take direct responsibility for cyber risk oversight, comply with evolving laws like GDPR and CCPA, and ensure robust incident response and disclosure frameworks to protect reputation and value. Chapter 6 outlines the path forward for building resilient governance that adapts to evolving risks and opportunities. The final section emphasizes culture, continuous improvement, and practical steps leaders can take to strengthen governance across the organization. Embedding a culture of integrity requires more than rules. It needs visible leadership commitment, consistent ethical reinforcement, and mechanisms that empower employees to speak up without fear. By integrating values into everyday decisions, organizations turn governance into a living practice rather than a checklist. Continuous improvement and adaptation keep governance effective over time through regular board evaluations, scenario planning for emerging risks, systematic board refreshment to bring in new perspectives, and embracing innovations in governance practices and technologies that enhance oversight and agility. In conclusion, governance is a decisive strategic advantage that builds trust, drives performance, and ensures sustainability. Organizations that commit to governance excellence strengthen stakeholder confidence, improve operational outcomes, and position themselves for long-term success in an increasingly complex global environment.